Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. In my videos, I use both Vedic and traditional Western techniques with tropical astrology, not sidereal astrology. I also use the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis. You can use this video to the best of your advantage by listening to the introduction to understand what the week holds for you, and then going to the timestamps for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get a more personalized forecast for the week ahead. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Hello everybody, I want to welcome you and empower you through the tool of astrology this week. And this week we're looking at the energies that are playing out from the 11th of November right through to the 18th of November. So without further ado, let's dive right in and have a look at what's happening through the astro wheel today. Well, first of all, on the 12th of November, we've got Mars in an opposition to Uranus at 21 degrees. So here is Uranus up here at 21 degrees of Taurus, and it's going to be opposing Mars at 21 degrees of Scorpio down here. Oh dear, here we go. And this once every 2-year energy dance that hits us, it's going to hit us like a volcanic eruption. In fact, this combo usually results in things like earthquakes, volcanoes, or similar unexpected catastrophic events that can occur. So keep your eyes on the news. There may just be something like that will happen somewhere in the world. And we already know that the Earth has already been sort of dancing in this fire a little bit already over the past 12 months. Now, in our personal lives, this energy, Mars opposite Uranus, can cause outbursts similar to Mount Vesuvius, and it's time to act now with consciousness, especially when we're dealing with people that we see as being against us in some way. Try and be of the upper plane, so to speak, a higher level of consciousness. You might even find yourself on the receiving end of someone else's Mount St. Helens, let's say. This could even be from one of your friends at this time. So be forewarned, forearmed. If you find that there's some volatility in your circle, in your sphere, act with grace. Act with higher consciousness where you can. Breathe deeply. And maybe an idea might be to direct your energies, because Mars is our energetic output, direct your energies into useful activities like acupuncture. Mars rules needles and Uranus rules alternative healing. So you could direct the energy into something good instead of the volatility. So alternative healing like acupuncture, or cooking an exotic stir fry, doing some martial arts, or activities that help with nervous tension and the release of nervous tension. Maybe even taking a bit of magnesium might be advisable now too. But keep whatever you do as spontaneous as possible, and I'm not saying don't plan things, because we have to in life, but be flexible and be open to anything new that arises and go with it. Above all else, I would just encourage you on the 12th of November, try and avoid dealing with electricity where you can. Now, we're all using electricity almost all the time. We can't help doing that, but avoid sort of hiring an electrician, or fiddling with your fuse box, or doing something out of the ordinary with electricity on the 12th of November. Then on the 13th of November, so this energy of opposition is going to tie into the new moon that will form. I've got the moon represented here in Capricorn for something I'm going to talk about later, but basically the moon will be here with the sun, and it'll be very close to Mars, and it'll be opposing Uranus. So this is a new moon I've talked about extensively for all signs, and how it's going to affect you all personally at the Patreon page. This is a doozy of a new moon in Scorpio. You will want to find out how it's going to play out in your life. For some, there might be an increased need for more intensity in life, or a deeper focus. A new moon in Scorpio can often make you a little bit more psychic, and you're receiving downloads from the divine, a little bit more determined for taking a stand for whatever it is you believe in. Some people might be experiencing a significant ending and a brand new beginning in life in some way under this new moon. And we also need to be very careful with the Scorpio energy of indulging in manipulation of other people, or having a self-righteous attitude, or avoiding the responsibilities and duties we need to carry under this influence. So keep that in mind. But I have so much more to say on this topic, especially because of the conjunctions of Mars with the moon and the sun and the opposition to Uranus. Check out my Patreon page, Patreon family, and find out what is happening with this new moon in Scorpio at 21 degrees of Scorpio, 21 degrees of Scorpio, because it's going to be very powerful. Now, there's going to be a sun opposite Uranus on the 14th of November. So boom, 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 boom. We've got 3 days in a row of very intense energy. And this is a once yearly transit too, when the sun opposes Uranus. And it really stirs things up, So we're getting a lot of agitation, a lot of unexpected events, sudden events that come and disrupt our life in some way. This one particularly because the sun is the ruler of Leo and Uranus rules the sign opposite it in modern astrology, which is Aquarius. Here they are, Aquarius here and Leo here, sitting opposite in the horoscope. So these are two big boys that can behave very much like arch enemies at times. So it can be another difficult energy, which is why you want to know how this new moon's going to affect you, because it is going to be quite potent and explosive. But the sun opposite Uranus, this is an energy of change, of shaking out of a rut, of epiphanies, of exciting new people and events sometimes. In that sense, it can act on us like a tonic if we've been stuck in a rut, spinning our wheels, sick of the status quo. But don't get all comfy just yet, my friends. This feeling of stuckness tends to lead to bursting out, like the floodgates open. And that can happen in an inappropriate manner under this opposition. So you can expect that your best laid plans might go awry under this energy. Chaos could be on the menu for us all. Male authority figures could really behave erratically because the sun is authority figures and Uranus is erraticism in a negative way in this influence. So male authority figures could behave erratically. There could be rebellious attitudes seen in society that somehow get the better of us and aren't for the good. So note to self, my friends, act with caution in all circumstances around this new moon, particularly the 12th, 13th and 14th of November. Okay, heads up. And if you want to know more about this, head to the Patreon page, links in the description below, find out how it's going to be really playing out with your sign. But then later in the week, and this is where I want to direct our attention to now, later in the week, on the 17th of November, we have a more beneficial aspect. We've got Mars down here in Scorpio in a trine to, I'm going to move this around so I can draw it better, to Neptune in Pisces. So here's Neptune in Pisces, and we're going to have a beautiful trine to Mars here. So this is when action meets intuition in a really harmonious way. Things look set to move in the right direction under this influence. Our compassion can be transmuted into action that is worthwhile, not just feeling sad and sorry for the world, but we do something about it with Mars here. We're wanting to take action. We've also, it's worth noting that Neptune's in its own rulership in modern astrology and Mars is in its own rulership according to traditional astrology. So they're both in signs where they're dignified and strong. So we're going to get a lot of positivity out of this. Compassion transmuted into action. We might wear our heart on our sleeve a little more, but in the most beautiful of ways. And we tend to be able to solve and fix problems, which is a Mars energy, in a kinder, gentler way with this beautiful trine. What a gift this trine is, coming on the heels of the new moon that's about to unfold in Scorpio. So this energy mixes in a fascinating way because these planets, which are usually quite polaric in energy, fire and water don't mix, they are doing a complementary tango here. So compromise comes easier now. We move through life's activities with a gentler, more relaxed pace. Patience becomes much more than a virtue now. It's a state of being with this energy. We can take more time to participate in beautiful activities, and beautiful activities just seem to flow in our life. Painting, dancing, swimming, sailing, things that require some effort and energy, but in a flowy or even a watery kind of field or manner. So doing this and being involved in such beautiful activities might really transport you into a much happier realm. So it's very worthwhile on the 17th of November to go down, visit your local swimming pool, or do a dance class, or get your art kit out and do some painting, that kind of thing. So I'm loving this energy, and believe me, I'm so grateful for this energy because it's forming Mars. Where are we? Mars is here at 24 degrees, and so is Neptune. And then the following day, on the 18th of November, remember I'm using Australian times, the Sun catches up with Mars to the exact degree. It's been sort of in a close tango all week, but now it really catches up at the exact degree on the 18th, the 24th of November. And I'm going to talk about those two in their exact conjunction in just a second, because it is very, very important for the next 2 years of our life. Before I talk about that, obviously, if they're both at the same degree on the 18th, that means that Neptune's going to be making a beautiful trine to the Sun as well. This is a delightful energy. It's an energy for compassion. It's an energy for inspiration and energetic gifts coming from the higher angelic realms into our life. Miracles happen with Sun trine to Neptune, and couldn't we all use a bit of a miracle on Earth right now? We feel like we're more in the flow with life. We're right where we need to be, right people at the right time, right circumstances unfolding. And as such, we might encounter more powerful people. Remember, both Mars and the Sun represent men, the masculine. So we might be encountering more powerful men who can bless our lives. Neptune blessing by trine. So more powerful men that can bless our lives might enter your life. This could take the form of spiritual teachers, artists, musicians, those in healing professions, all of these things represented by the beautiful Neptune here. Now, your own creativity can be quite on fire on the 18th because of this. There might be goosebump moments where you just love life and you're almost emotionally overcome with happiness and joy and gratitude to the divine for the life that you are experiencing in that moment. You know those times when it just feels like everything's sparkling and you're really happy? If you receive a message from Spirit on the 18th, do pay attention, because your soul's inner guidance is totally on point with a Neptune trine to the Sun, and you can trust it. Trust yourself, trust what the soul is telling you and inspiring you to. Then the big one that I want to talk about, that I'm going to be breaking down for all signs. It's a once in 2 year energy. It is the conjunction of Mars and the Sun. Fortunately for us, it will be trine to Neptune here. And it's going to be conjunct a very important fixed star that I'm going to talk about shortly as well. But this is an energy for heightened energy, like amplified energy. We need to get into it. If we don't direct our vitality and our energy and enthusiasm and initiative into constructive ventures, we're going to end up really feeling the heat. Now, I'm talking about feeling angry, feeling aggression, feeling temper tantrums, and even feeling a bit violent. If you are in a domestic violence kind of relationship where that is occurring, go and visit your mother, go and stay at a friend's, get out of the way around the 18th, okay? Heads up, my friends. In fact, I would even suggest, if you're in this circumstance or you know somebody who is, offer them a home for the week. Go and visit your mother for the week, or go and visit, men can be victims of domestic violence too. I'm not just talking about women here. Go and visit family, go and, get away while you can, because this energy this whole week with Uranus opposite Mars and then the Sun conjunct with Mars later in the week can bring violence out, okay? So remove yourself from violent situations and the potential will lessen for you. But it can be impossible to hide your own irritation and your own impatience with a conjunction of Mars and the Sun. Competitiveness can be just suffocating for you with this conjunction, especially if you've got it in your natal chart. This is a conjunction, and I do, where you feel just suffocated by the idea of competition, so you avoid it altogether. So it's an excess of energy that comes out in, difficulty at this time. How do we manage this energy, this physical excess of energy? Well, we need to get our bodies busy. We can dance, we can exercise, we can have sex, we can get out there and pull the weeds in the garden and, dig and dig and dig and do something physical. Go and chop some firewood, get into it. Use the excess energy for something practical and worthwhile, and you will stream that energy away from temper tantrums and frustrations and irritations and so on. So apart from getting all that energy out of your body, you need to keep yourself cool where you can. Dress in light clothing, colors of the moon are good, pearls and silver are really great, and sort of whites are really good things to wear. Avoid any hot, spicy foods around this time, the 18th of November, and drink plenty of fluids to help your body maintain its equilibrium and not get too pushed over the top, over the edge, so to speak. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention before we really dig into the all signs breakdown is that this conjunction of Mars and the Sun occurs every roughly 2 years. It is I was going to say biannual, but that's not the right term. It's a once in 2 year occurrence. And this is a reset of the collective Mars energy for the next 2 years of our lives, personally and collectively on the planet. Now, there's other astrologers who are speaking about how it's affecting the world in mundane astrology. I'm here to tell you how it's going to affect you at a personal level. I know that's what you all want to hear. But 2 years ago, for an example, when this conjunction occurred, it occurred in the sign of Libra, the sign before. So it occurred in Libra, which is my 8th house as a Pisces rising person. I'll show you. Here's Pisces rising. Let's put Pisces here on the ascendant. Libra is the 8th house. So 2 years ago, as an example, Mars conjuncted the Sun in my 8th house, and it entirely turned my life around 180 degrees, as it did, as is the nature of the 8th house, which is big life changes, big life turns around. It came with a crisis, and it came with a challenge and difficulty that lasted almost the whole 2 years, probably more like 6 months to a year actually, and there was other times where I had a reprieve, but it came with crisis and difficulty. But I wouldn't go back for anything in the world. I'm in a completely different place now, and a much better place, thanks be to the divine. I am so grateful for this conjunction of the Sun and Mars in the 8th house, which changed my life completely. Now, 2 years before that conjunction, it happened in Virgo, my 7th house. During that 2 year period, I established some very significant working partnerships that continue to be a mutual blessing in both my life and the lives of my business partners at that time. So big blessing unfolded through collaboration, which is the nature of the 7th house for, in this case, for a Pisces person. So you can see that the resetting in the house that Mars and the Sun conjunct in will change your life and will give you a theme for the 2 years coming up. Mars sets the theme for the following 2 years, Mars and Sun conjunction, and it begins a whole new cycle. So this is so much more significant than most people realize. Especially if the proposal of the Tychos model of the solar system, Google it, look it up, there's plenty of information out there about the Tychos, Tychos, Tychos model of the solar system is correct. Mars, which is often an overlooked and under-discussed planet in astrology, let's face it, Mars could actually be the most significant planet in the solar system, making this every 2 year reset, every 2 year conjunction with the Sun so powerful, the most powerful. So please don't downgrade this or think that it's not important. It is so important. Check out the Tychos model. It might just change the way you think about the astronomy of the world we live in, or the solar system that we live in. So we're going to be exploring this. It's quite an imperative that we look at this conjunction for all signs. There is also a conjunction here in Scorpio at 23 degrees. So this conjunction is occurring at 24 degrees, and at 23 degrees of Scorpio, we have a fixed star projected onto the ecliptic, and this fixed star is called Agena. Agena is a very fortunate fixed star with the energy of Venus and Jupiter about it. It gives good health, it gives high morals, and success with the masses. Couldn't we use this in the state of the world right now? Couldn't we use a highly moral society and world right now? Yes, we could. Couldn't we use some success for the 99% and no success for the 1%? You know what I'm saying? Success for the masses, high morals in society, and good health and fortune. Fortunate energy. Agena, fixed star at 23 degrees and 48 minutes of Scorpio. So I am so grateful that Agena is part of this conjunction, and that Neptune is soothing this conjunctive energy. So to me, this is a positive dynamic. Yes, Uranus is opposing, but Neptune is a much closer trinal degree, and Neptune is a stronger planet because it's further out than Uranus in this case. Neptune is packing more of a punch than Uranus. Thank God. You know, I'm just so grateful for the conjunction from Neptune and the trine from Neptune and the conjunction with Agena, which could hold space for humanity into the coming 2 years. So why not make some really great post-new moon intentions now for a healthy, flourishing 2 years ahead for all humanity and for yourself personally. It's a great time to do it at this point while the moon is beginning to wax beyond the new moon phase. Right, let's start with the sign of Scorpio for the all signs breakdown. Here we are. Mars and the Sun in a conjunction. Now, if you happen to have your rising degree at 24 degrees, you're going to feel this particularly strongly. But this is representative of the themes that are going to be playing out over the next 2 years. So we're not just looking at the week ahead here. We're looking at the next 2 years. What are the themes going to be? You might not even notice it until you look back in retrospect in 2 years' time. But I'm giving you a heads up now. You might find, because this is happening in the house of you, that you are involved in lots of competitive circumstances, that you're competing against people, you know, perhaps on a regular basis at work, or competing with siblings or at home or something like that for attention. It could look like that. There might just be lots of activity in your life. You're just busy, busy, busy for the next 2 years, flat out all the time. You might be called upon in some manner to be a warrior in the next 2 years, to stand up and fight in some way in the next 2 years. So you might be developing a more warrior mentality. In the worst case scenario, if the shadow side of this energy is exhibiting, you might be fighting for something all the time or fighting over everything. You might be caught in a situation of conflict for the next 2 years, but that's a lower vibrational energy. Higher vibrational energy is you to fight for a just cause, to have that warrior hero mentality for something in your life. Sometimes when we have a Mars-Sun conjunction in our first house by transit, we can experience more contention or arguments or aggression. Our buttons are pressed easily. We can become very reactive and defensive. But that's usually when there's some really difficult aspects, say a conjunction with Saturn and maybe a square from Uranus, which is like a much worse case scenario than an opposition from Uranus. So those kinds of things, if they're feeding in as the main influences, might then result in you being very volatile personally yourself. However, remember, this time there is a trine to Neptune and a conjunction with Agena that can cause you to calm down quickly when your buttons are pressed. You know, you might get frustrated fast, but you will also be like, breathe, okay, I'm okay, you know, and just carry on. This could be, for some of you Scorpio people, and I'm sure you'll identify with this, a highly sexualized period of your life. What do I mean by that? It means that this is the house of you. It doesn't mean that you're going to get, you know, lots of people coming on to you and wanting to date you or wanting to sleep with you or anything like that. It's more likely that you will feel sexy. You might dress more provocatively. You might feel more sexually desirable in some way, or you might be the one who is pursuing sexual conquest or sexual interaction more so than you have done before. This could definitely be a 2-year period where that's high priority on your agenda. Some people, some women might get an impetus to dress more tomboyishly under this energy. Mars is a masculine energy, and the first house is how we present ourselves to the world. So you might be, doing the Katharine Hepburn thing, which I love. Lots of pants and jackets and business shirts and that kind of thing, which might be completely at odds with how you usually dress. But this can be one of those inclinations that occurs. Some of you Scorpio people will be very focused on beautifying your body through attention to your muscles. Mars rules muscles, and so you might be beautifying your muscles through going to the gym a lot or getting fit and working out a lot to make yourself look more lean and toned, that sort of thing. You might become more sports-minded, more competitive as well, maybe more reckless. You might have a more reckless attitude to life in general and be more of a daredevil, more willing to take a risk, willing to be a bit more edgy and to go where you haven't gone before and do what you haven't done before. So that can be positive in that regard. Sometimes when we have a conjunction like this, we tend to pursue our goals to the bitter end. We become passionate about our goals and our aspirations here. Part of your story in the next 2 years, when you look back, is going to be about meeting with crisis. I'm not talking about everything falling apart, but just some challenge in life, something that you need to be courageous about, and it's going to result in you fixing problems in your life. So maybe there's something you've swept under the rug or ignored for some time and just hoped it would go away. Well, you're going to need to confront it now, and Mars is very much about fixing problems. So you can't deny it any longer. You can't sweep it under the rug anymore. You need to fix the problems. And this might be the mission for the next 2 years. Something will happen where it becomes an urgent need to fix that problem or a crisis. You might be given more challenges, but you are strong enough with Mars conjunct Sun in the first house, setting this tone. You're strong enough to stand up to the challenge and to overcome. Mars is to win. So you might be having some big wins over the next 2 years, albeit with some challenges to overcome to begin. There is a need with Mars conjunct Sun in the first house, setting the tone for the next 2 years, for you to be active and have big goals to pursue. If you're somebody and you keep your goals mediocre and you always aim for the bottom rungs, bottom branches of the tree, then you're not making the most of this very special energy. Have a big goal, go for it. Even if you fall short, you're going to be higher up the tree than you would have if you'd set a low goal. So go for it, my friends. Put your energy into pursuing something you've always wanted now. You can also find that you're feeling more sporting. You want to play more sports, you want to involve yourself in more competitive circumstances. I would encourage you to get into sports, and I would encourage you to involve yourself in competitive games just to avoid driving the people in your life crazy, because you can be a bit intense and a bit full on with this conjunction of Mars and Sun in the first house Scorpio. Okay, so, get yourself, if worst case scenario, get involved in a board game club or a bridge club or something like that, where you're playing games and there's competition, but it's not exerting your body. It's better if you can find something that you're exerting your body for, but if you can't, a board game or some sort of competitive club is a good idea. Sometimes, and when I spoke about people, you driving people crazy, it's because there's this heightened energization that's occurring now in the first house of you. You might be talking faster, thinking faster, moving faster, and just zip, 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 zip all the time. And you're like, yeah, everyone around you is like, just slow down, settle down, But it's really an outward response to how you're feeling inwardly. You're feeling like life is moving fast, and if you don't run, you're going to miss out on it. I sound like Ferris Bueller, don't I? Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around sometime, Forget how the rest of that quote goes. But anyway, I know Ferris Bueller said something like that. But that's what it is. You're feeling like life's moving pretty fast. Now, finally, I just want to say this is the house of the body. Mars and Scorpio have to do with operations. So there might be a need for some sort of operations, or there might be some sort of scarring on the head. For example, you go and get your ear pierced and it doesn't take properly, and so it scabs over and you end up with a little scar of where it didn't quite work properly. I'm not talking about injuries. I'm not talking about any physical deformity or anything like that. I'm just talking about a need, like some sort of piercing or cutting in the head, like getting your ear pierced. In fact, that'd be a really great thing to go and do to mitigate any other kind of, hefty energies of that nature. So, maybe getting a tattoo or something like that. It's not for everybody who's going to be experiencing that, but some people might have some sort of scarring or, mark on the head, or maybe a need for a little operation or something like that. The other thing health-wise is that you might be a bit prone to fevers over the next 2 years. Mars brings inflammation. So you might just have more facial redness or pimples, or you might experience just feeling flushed a lot or blushing a lot more than usual, because Mars is in the first house setting the tone for the next 2 years, my friend. All right, thank you, Scorpio. Now let's move along to have a look at Mars conjunct with the Sun in the second house. This is for all our lovely Librans. I say it every week, my lovely Librans. So this is setting the tone, sort of setting what is going to happen for the next 2 years of your life. And you may not, until you look back in 2 years' time, you might not realize how influential this conjunction of Mars and the Sun in the second house has been. But it's a time, the next 2 years, Librans, you're going to have a lot of energy to go after finances, to maybe make some collections of important material goods in your life, to gather in knowledge, to keep some sort of records. You have a lot of energy to put into that sort of thing, and you can even be quite competitive when it comes to acquiring material resources. Like you're out bidding everybody on eBay all day or something like that. You get involved competitively about material goods. So this could be a theme that plays out in some way over the next 2 years. But you will be quite ambitious and driven in gathering in financial security and material security in your life. You really can put the work in now to achieve. That's quite exciting. I'm actually noticing this already. I'm feeling this drive in my energy to do so, and I haven't felt like that for a long, long time. So quite interesting. It's also time that you can become a self-made person, to be, your own instigator of wealth. If you've worked for someone your whole life, and collaborated with somebody in some business arena, or maybe you've been employed somewhere, this could be the time when you're like, you know what? Screw it. I want to make my own money. I want to do it my way. So very, very strong sort of energy towards independent making of money and making of resources. A self-made person with Mars conjunct Sun in the second house. Some of you Librans will achieve a new level of prosperity and wealth through your own personal effort. Not that Mars is a wealth producing planet, but Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and Scorpio is your second house. So it's with your own endeavors, your entrepreneurism, your own effort that you can see some success and a rise in level of prosperity. I'm very happy to tell you that, Libra. You can also begin over the next 2 years to earn some money through Mars-related activities. So maybe you handling precious jewelry and stones, or doing something involved with sports, or something involved with sex, metals, machinery, the military, guns, war. In ancient astrology, Mars ruled property, and Mars still rules real estate agents. So by collaborating with a real estate agent, you might make some money, Libra. So there's money to be made in Mars-related areas over the next 2 years because of this conjunction. But be forewarned and forearmed, Mars is a fast and quick energy. You might get a lot of money quickly, and you might spend a lot of money quickly, okay? Because this is the house of what we get and what we give out, what we spend. It's not the house of what we give out. There's other houses that are about what we give, but this is about spending. So just be careful of any get-rich-quick schemes. You probably will feel inclined to take a risk on something over the next 2 years. It's not always the best idea. Do your research, Librans, and take your time rather than diving in with something that seems too good to be true. Now, Mars is the energy of the pioneer, and so Mars can manifest breakthroughs regarding resources and possessions. So you might you might have felt stuck in a rut, I don't know, for however long, regarding the resources that you've got to utilize for your life and support your body's journey in life. You might have felt stuck, and Mars, now conjunct with the Sun, setting the tone for the next 2 years, might give you an aha moment. I can do this, I can do that. This is an entrepreneurial endeavor that I should pursue. You will pioneer some way, usually through your own independent action, to break through and break out of being stuck in a rut and not achieving what you've wanted to achieve financially and materially. So it's a great place to have this conjunction occurring, Libra. Now, sometimes we see that this conjunction can bring about a protectiveness and a defensiveness regarding our material goods and possessions. No, it's mine. I think about the seagull in the Finding Nemo film. Mine, when it's spying the fish and chips that it wants to eat. But it's like that. Mars gets protective and defensive of what is yours, what you have, Libra, okay? So keep an eye on that. As a Pisces rising person, I value generosity and giving a lot. So keep it, maybe you don't value that, it's up to you, but I think that having compassion and generosity is a really good skills. It's a high level consciousness skill to be kind and generous. So just be careful of being too protective and too defensive and too materialistic with Mars here. There can even be some family stress or family arguments about financial resources that unfold as a result of this conjunction. So be careful that you don't ruin your family dynamics and family relationships because of the valuing you're putting on resources, Libra. Now, as I've already alluded to, you will have a desire for more independence and more self-sufficiency in a financial manner, but it's a house of values in general, and you'll tend to value strength, competitiveness, power, stamina, survival, and go-getting sort of behaviors more as well, with Mars being triggered in the energy of the second house here. So for the next 2 years, you might find that you're more inclined to get competitive about resources, and you value being able to go for it. You value material survival. You value entrepreneurial endeavors to create money, and you look up to people who are creating money through their entrepreneurial endeavors and so on. You value that. You put great revere, great store by that. That could be very different from what you're usually geared to, Librans. But this is Mars conjunct Sun in the second house, giving this tone to the next 2 years. You might even find that over the next 2 years, some sort of ownership is empowering for you in life. Whether it's you own an electric push bike or something like that, and somehow that empowers you. It gives you more freedom, gives you more capabilities to live how you want to live or something. Or owning a speedboat gives you the power to enjoy life more or something, because you can go out skiing or whatever. Or owning something is going to empower you in some way. And that could be anything. It could be property, Mars rules property. It could be, owning a machine that produces something, gives you a sense of power and confidence in the future. Could be anything, but ownership brings power. The second house has to do with the voice as well, Libra, and you might be using your voice in a powerful way in some manner over the next 2 years, maybe appearing on lots of podcasts or singing or putting your voice out there powerfully can be something that brings power into your life, especially as this is occurring in the sign of Scorpio, the sign of empowerment. So the vocal cords can be empowered in some way to be a blessing to you. Be careful though, because this is the house of the voice. You could be quick to speak and then regret it later. Don't sort of dive in boots and all without considering what you're saying and how you're using your voice. Self-worth is also seen from the second house as well. And with Mars in the second house, self-worth can come from your ability to achieve prosperity and achieve financial security and wealth. Also, your sense of self-worth might come through overcoming a crisis. Mars, it can be associated with overcoming crises or fixing problems that cause crisis. Mars here can also see you finding your sense of self-worth through asserting yourself in healthy ways, using your willpower. You might get a sense of self-worth from building your muscles and becoming lean muscularly. Mars rules muscles. Or just acquiring assets, second house thing. Now, I would encourage you, Mars is a quick energy, but I want to encourage you to slow down with what you eat. Practice the slow food idea. It's a wonderful movement started in Italy. Slow food, enjoying your food that you eat. Take time with what you eat, because what you eat is seen through the second house. So value what you eat, enjoy what you eat, savor what you eat, and that will help you avoid the development of gut problems that might come about from guzzling your food down. So be conscious about how you eat. Slow it down, even though Mars is going to make you want to rush. Rushing, Mars conjunct the Sun in the second house of what you eat can cause gut problems over the ensuing 2 years if you don't act with consciousness about how and what you're eating. Another, it's kind of tying into the whole eating tone, you might find that you're thirsty and hungry for sensual pleasures. Sensual pleasures are seen through the second house as well, and you just want more of them now. You desire more of the joys of life, the pleasures of life, the delights of life. And I'm not just talking about sexual pleasures, I'm talking about everything, fine dining and beautiful satin sheets and velvet dresses, and you just want like all the things you can touch, taste, see, hear, and smell. You just want them. Hunger for those. Now, the higher nature of Mars, Libra, is willpower and a soldier-like discipline. And therefore, you'll find that for the next 2 years, you are able to really put a lot of discipline and willpower into second house things. The food you eat, you can even put some discipline into the luxuries that you're enjoying. Yes, you might have satin sheets on the bed, but you're not, I don't know how to bring in willpower or discipline with that. You just enjoy them. But maybe disciplined with your finances as well. You manage things, you strategize, you've got a budget. You are disciplined about what you value in some way also. If anyone can think of a scenario where we might be disciplined about the satin sheets on the bed, then let us know. And I can think of one or two sexual things, but that's not really what we're talking about here in the second house. All right, just to conclude, Librans, there is also a protective drive here. You will be inclined to want to protect and defend second house things, hence, the protecting of your possessions, but that also includes the accumulation of knowledge. You'll be protective of the knowledge that you've gathered. Maybe you're really valuing and treasuring, protecting the books you've gathered or the documentaries you've acquired over many years or something, or some sort of knowledge you're feeling very protective of with Mars conjunct the Sun here. Whew, I think I've talked long enough for my lovely Librans, but I hope you are blessed by this conjunction in this second house for the next 2 years, my gorgeous Libran friends. Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. Well, the energy of the conjunction of Mars with the Sun is falling for you in the third house, the house of speech and communication. Mars energizes here, and so for the next 2 years, you're setting a tone for the second house that's going to really maybe even bring some very different things into your life that you haven't experienced before. Your speech and your communication could be far more energized now. You've got a lot of emails, lots of writing, lots of speaking engagements that you've got to undertake, more so than usual. Sometimes Mars, more so in the natal chart, but Mars in the third house can give a loud voice, but you might be required to use your voice more and to voice your opinion more now. You might be talking a lot more than usual. So Virgo, get ready. You could have a lot to say. There is also an energizing of your communication style. So you might be using your hands more. Third house has to do with our hands. When you're talking, you'll be much more of an enthusiastic communicator than maybe you have been in the past over the next 2 years. And can be very good. If you're in promotion or sales, then, being an enthusiastic, effervescent communicator, which is what Mars will do for you here, can bring blessing if you're in those careers. But lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm about whatever it is you're conversing with others about. There's a brightness and alertness and a focus on what you're talking about, even in everyday, ordinary conversations. So that can be very, very helpful and very powerful. People feel that you're listening. People feel that you are giving, sharing and communicating with full attention and focus when Mars in Scorpio conjunct the Sun occurs here. You can also communicate very assertively. People, feel your conviction. And feel your passion about what you're talking about. That will come across very obviously. The third house has to do with courage, actually, in Vedic astrology, and you might have some courageous self-talk, and because of that can be very empowering for your frame of mind. So what you think about is a third house thing. Mars here gives you a courageous frame of mind and a confident level of self-talk. I can do it. I know I've got this. I believe in you. Those sorts of inner dialogues will be prominent with Mars here in the third house. What a blessing. What a blessing. Because sometimes the third house can be an indicator of anxiety or, just overthinking. And I'm not saying that isn't possible here, but you'll also have the ability to have that courageous and confident self-talk as well. Now, transportation and travel localized travel are ruled by the third house, and Mars will make these things quite fast in your life. You've got to take a business trip. Well, you'll be there and back in the one day instead of staying overnight. It'll be that things have to be quick. And so short travels, which are third house thing, will be done in a quick, fast, efficient manner. Or there could be quite an emphasis on business and travel for business now. This is a placement for innovators and go-getters regarding communication and social media. So you might have an innovative approach to publicizing something on social media or advertising on social media. You might be a bit of a go-getter with your communication, and sending emails, without waiting for an invite to send an email. You just, jump on the front foot and send that important email to whatever dignitary you want to talk to, or the application for whatever you want to do. Like, you are on the front foot. You're the initiator with your communications here, social media or conventional communication I'm talking about. The third house is also commercial activities, and it rules the media in general. So there's definitely a potential for success in these things. Success with Mars here can be a winner. Mars is to be a winner with commercial activities now. It's an excellent position for journalists if you work in journalism, or if you're in a career that involves a lot of short, quick travels, maybe you're an airline steward or something like that, or a pilot, then this can be an excellent time for you. You'll be energized by the short trips. You'll be energized by the news that you're gathering or the communication field that you're working in. And that is actually a beautiful contribution to getting you out of a rut if you ever feel stuck in the next 2 years. Take a short trip, write something and publish it. Do third house activities, maybe even could be something like learning a new skill, can help you feel energized and get out of a rut if that's something that crops up in the next 2 years' time. You'll also be excited by stimulating your mind and learning new information. So, you're going to want to, undertake a short course, get lots of books or journals and researching information, especially with Scorpio in the third house. That's going to be something that you're very into. Lots of movement and change relating to learning would be very beneficial with Mars here, influencing the next 2 years. For example, you might be like me all the time, reading 4 books at once, or have 6 to 12 websites open at the one time and sort of hopping between them all. Just really busy, lots of movement and energy regarding learning or gathering information. Now, Mars in the third house, I just want to warn you, can give you a dominant position in a group situation, small group, not large group, but a small group, like a workshop, and you are required to take a dominant position. Sometimes Mars in the third house finds it hard to cooperate in groups. You have less patience for group activities and for the opinions of others, and less patience when the rest of the group's fairly unmotivated and lackluster. So forewarned, if you're participating in any workshops or communal groups of that nature. But it is a progressive position, so it's going to set things up to be very progressive, maybe even a little impatient for the next 2 years. Maybe like you're setting up a short course that you're going to sell online or something, and you're just impatient to see it succeed and impatient to get it out there. So be sure that you do your diligent work, cross your I's, dot your T's. Don't just whack it together and shove it out there for the masses without doing your due diligence and making sure that it's all brilliant. Try and slow things down a bit, because you're going to be a bit more impatient than usual with that kind of production work. It's an energy also of being very direct and straight up in our communication styles. You're going to be more inclined to be straight to the point, no mucking around, no dilly-dallying, no sort of, beating around the bush, as we say. Mars in the third house, activated in this way, can also sometimes use biting words, and be a bit impatient with the opinions of others, as I've already alluded to. But it can be, if you're in legal work or a practicing lawyer or something like that, this can actually serve to help you come up with quick answers and quick strategies on the courtroom floor and so forth. So it depends what you're using your communication talking for. In the case of a lawyer, for example, it can be very beneficial. There can be problems with your daily environment, because third house does have connections to our daily environment, but Mars can be aggressive. So, we can just feel that our daily environment is a bit aggressive, or that we have to be aggressive in our daily environment to get where we want to go. Okay? The thinking processes are also seen from the third house, and they can be very energized and busy. Sometimes it's not about anxiety, but it might be hard to calm the mind down when Mars is here, because you know what it's like when you have insomnia and you just can't switch your mind off. You're thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow, what you should have said yesterday, and you just think. So try and have some strategies prepared, my beautiful Virgo friends, for the next couple of years to utilize when the mind is just running away with itself. Okay, this is the house of self-made wealth as well. It's the second house from the second. And so Mars here, setting up the next 2-year stint, might indicate a more self-driven approach to financial success, very entrepreneurial, and you probably have got a lot of energy to create some sort of self-made wealth. So that's what I'm seeing for our Virgo friends, and I think that's something to be enjoyed, most of all, my Virgo friends. All right, Leo rising, Leo sun, and Leo moon people. Gonna stay there for me? Yes, you are. So the energy of Mars in a conjunction with the sun, setting the tone for the next 2 years, is occurring in the 4th house. Now, Mars is a planet that sort of inspires us to want to get out there, do things, conquer the world. In Vedic astrology, Mars has its best directional strength in the house opposite the 4th house, which is the 10th, being out there in public and in the world. So the 4th house is kind of the opposite of what Mars is all about. 4th house is our home, 4th house is our sanctuary. So Mars in the 4th house, setting the tone for the next 2 years, might feel a little restrained, a little bit. It's not like we're blocked, it's not like we're restricted, but we're just not go-getting as Mars would, the planet would otherwise like us to do. Fortunately, Mars is in good dignity in its own sign, Scorpio. So that can be restraint that we're feeling can be mitigated a little by that, because Mars is in good dignity. But the 4th house is our emotional self and our emotional needs as well, and we can be quite protective of our emotions with Mars here, defensive of our emotions actually. So somebody says something offhand, otherwise it wouldn't mean much to us and we'd let it be water off a duck's back, but with Mars here we kind of spark up and get a bit reactive perhaps, because our emotions have been triggered or our feelings have been hurt. So be aware that the next 2 years can see provocation of that nature sometimes unfolding. Not all the time, obviously, for 2 years straight, but on occasion there can be those circumstances. The fourth house is also our domestic environment. Now, if we had only negative aspects to this Mars-Sun conjunction forming, if there was like a square from Saturn, or I don't know, a square from Uranus or something, or a conjunction with Uranus or something, or conjunction with Pluto, then we could expect that there would be a lot of arguments in the domestic environment, a lot of argy-bargy, a lot of clashing heads in your domestic home life. But because we have this gorgeous, beautiful trine from Neptune and a conjunction with the fixed star Agena, then that's not going to be so much the case. It's more like there's going to be a lot of youthful energy in your home environment. Or you might have a lot of enthusiasm for working in your home environment or working on your home, for example. Maybe you're fixing something around the home, getting things right. Maybe you're working on your garden. Fourth house is gardens, that kind of thing. You're more eager to get out there with the tools, Mars rules tools, and work on your home and work in your garden. I am a Leo sun, as everybody knows, and so this is applying to me. And of course, I'm finding that I'm in a home now with two very vibrant teenage boys. And of course, the next 2 years could be very prominent, obviously, as they're really coming of age and developing their independence. So, as I said, a lot of youthful, and in this case, masculine energy. Sun and Mars are masculine planets in the home environment. There can also be a lot of change in the home environment that you might find is happening, Libra. You can even find that you change homes, move to a different location. Mars brings a lot of change and quick energy. So that can be good if that's something that you've been desiring. There can be, as I've said, a lot of youthful energy in the home, but just more energy, full stop. You might have more energy to play with your children, or, like I said, more energy about renovations or fixing the home or changing home or selling the home. Gardening and farming are fourth house things, so more energy there. More energy regarding hospitality, so you're enthusiastic about like hosting parties in your home or cooking in your home. More enthusiastic about moving house if that's something that is on the cards for you and that's what you want to do. And in fact, if you feel stuck in a rut, if you feel like life is lackluster in any way, that's what you need to do. You need to focus on those fourth house things over the next 2 years. Have a party in your home. Have somebody over for dinner and cook for them. Get out in the garden and pull those weeds. Those sorts of things are what's going to sort of shift your stuckness for the next 2 years, since Mars is setting the tone here with its conjunction with the Sun. Now, this is also the realm of our parents. It could be either parent, mother or father, but you might find that a parent or guardian is exhibiting more Mars qualities in your life. Now, perhaps they're being more courageous, perhaps they're being very brave, maybe they're moving in some way, changing homes. In the negative, they could be more feisty with you now, more argumentative, or maybe your parents find themselves in some sort of competitive situation or a fighting situation. They might be getting more sporting or becoming a bit of a go-getter, or an entrepreneurial endeavor might unfold for the parents. So Mars can be influencing the parents, not just you in this placement. You might also find that you're very protective of your family. Mars is the protector energy, the defensive energy. And so you can be very protective of your family, but the fourth house also correlates to your country or state or town. So you can be very patriotic under this energy in some way over the next 2 years, very defensive of the community that you know as yours. Now, Mars rules accidents, my friends. And here there could be some kind of accidents in the next 2 years in your home. So always check your fireplace. Mars rules fire. Check your kitchen knives. Check any machinery is safe and functioning properly, and then you're less likely to have an incident. You can also, my friends, do very well with anything that's connected to property sales, real estate, renovating and selling, hospitality, running Airbnbs, working from home is another thing. You can do very successfully with those things. So put your energy there into those things, and you'll avoid the more negative manifestations of Mars, like accidents or criminals in the home and that kind of thing. So, keep that house looking good, keep fixing all the problems in the home, maybe look to invest in some real estate, that kind of stuff. Practice having people over and entertaining in your home, and you can avoid some of those difficulties. Mars represents to break or to cut something. And some of you, Leo friends, might be in the next 2 years breaking away from the pattern of your family. Your heritage, your lineage is seen through the 4th house. For example, some of you might leave the family lineage and go in a different direction from your family's general beliefs or behaviors or expectations. So that can happen as well because of this 2-year tone that Mars is setting. Mars is a planet that needs space. And so you are going to need some space in your home environment, Leo. Maybe you need your own bedroom. Maybe you need to have like a man cave or something, or a sewing room or a library. A place of your own within your domestic environment is a really good way to utilize this energy if you can. Dear God, help me, because I've got a house full of people and there's no space. So that would be, if you can manage it, if you can wrangle that one, that is a winner to utilize the energy in that way. Now, finally, the 4th house rules the breasts and the stomach. And with Mars here, maybe there might be some inflammation problems. But usually if that's the case, it will be as a result of blocking or stuffing down the emotions, not asserting yourself with your emotions or not directly dealing with your emotions. So I'd encourage you, my Leo friends, directly resolve conflict. That's the best thing you can do for yourself during this next 2-year period, wherever possible, particularly any conflicts with family. Resolve them, set them to rights, and you'll ease that potential that can manifest through the blocking and stuffing down of emotions. Thank you, Leo. All right, Cancer. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon people. Well, I'm going to have to keep you from going for a walk, guys, but the energy of the conjunction of Mars and Sun that is setting the tone for the next 2 years of our lives is occurring for you in the 5th house. So the 5th house is romance, and I'm very happy to say for my Cancer friends that for some of you there might be some impulsive and passionate romantic opportunity that plays out with this placement. Whether you are in a relationship or looking for a relationship or on the dating scene, this can be the case for some of you. And you'll have a lot of energy to put into a new romance, Now, there's not necessarily an increase in romantic opportunities that fall into your lap here. It's not like the universe just gives it to you. And it's not an energy that speaks to a new partner necessarily coming into your life for a long-term commitment or anything. But what it does speak to is your desire for more romance and more love. And because you desire it more, you're going to be more willing to take the action needed to create it. So that is where that's coming from. It's an initiation that you make towards generating more love and romance in your life. Now, Mars is also sports. Mars is physical movement. And you might find that over the next 2 years, you take up some new hobby, some new active physical pursuit that involves energizing the body. That could be dancing, it could be swimming, bike riding, something where you move a lot, something that is sporting as a new hobby. You could also take up some new hobbies that are connected with other Mars activities, fire, knives, cooking with hot foods, studying war, maybe an interest in speed and speed racing. These are all Mars-based things, engineering, machinery. If there's any hobbies that involve that sort of thing, then that's Mars. You'll have a lot of energy because wherever Mars is and wherever this reset of Mars energy is happening is where we're going to put a lot of energy. And so a lot of energy for creative endeavors as well. Your creativity is seen through the 5th house. So lots of creative activity going on for you now, lots of enthusiasm and passion for creative activity. Now, this is also a house of performance too, and if you are a performer, you're going to have an increase of energy for your craft as well, and you'll really enjoy utilizing your physical body and expressing through the physical body over the next 2 years. Some of you Cancer people might be even inspired to move into performing as a hobby for the first time ever. You might have never have done it before, and you might get the inspiration to do so under this energy. The 5th house is also our children, and it's a really good idea to sort of encourage your children for the next 2 years to put their energy into creative endeavors, because this energy is not just affecting you, it's affecting your children in some way. So encourage them to sort of, do painting on the weekend, or get out there with a hammer and nails and make little, wooden boats or something like that. Encourage them to get involved in sports. Encourage them to do entrepreneurial activities. I remember when my kids were in primary school, we did a lemonade stand at the local community market one time, and get them to, and they sort of learnt through doing that, how to manage money, how to buy and sell and all that kind of stuff, and become entrepreneurial. Mars is entrepreneurial. If you encourage your children to be entrepreneurial in some way, best use of this energy for their sake. So encourage that in your children, and in doing so, it mitigates the potential for argumentativeness with your children, or children being too headstrong, or taking risks that are dangerous and that kind of stuff. So encourage sports, encourage creativity, encourage entrepreneurism. Now, wherever Mars is resetting itself, like this energy is doing, is where we can look to motivate ourselves. So if you're stuck in a rut, if you're feeling unenergized and lackluster, then you need to focus your mind and your energy to 5th house things. Pursue romance. And look, let's face it, not everyone's in a situation where they're going to attract a romantic partner, or even wants a romantic partner. But if you make life more romantic yourself, like candles at the dinner table when you set the table for dinner, other romantic endeavors, maybe watching romantic movies, or soaking in the bath like you're a queen, with the candles going and the rose petals floating all around you and that sort of thing. Like, create what we would classify as romantic experiences for yourself, and it'll help you feel more energized and unstuck. Also, the 5th house is pleasure, fun, having a good time. So for some people, that's going out to a concert, or going out to a party or whatever. Other people, I'm someone who doesn't get energized by that sort of thing. Me, I get energized, going for a walk in nature. That's pleasure to me. That's delightful to me. Going out stargazing is pleasurable to me. So do whatever brings you pleasure, brings you joy, feels like fun to you, and that will energize you. Seeing some sort of entertainment, going to the cinema, going to a concert, or stand-up comedy night, or whatever you enjoy doing for entertainment, that's a 5th house thing. Performance, dance, having a dance with a partner, or going to a disco or something like that, or just dancing in your living room at home. Any energetic hobbies are also seen through the 5th house. Involving yourself in energetic hobbies are great ways to give you some zest and energy for life. Thank you, my beautiful Cancer friends. Let's take a look now at Gemini. Gemini rising, Gemini sun, and Gemini moon people. Well, we are seeing that the energy of the Sun-Mars conjunction that's giving us a reset for the next 2 years is falling in the 6th house. So, believe it or not, the 6th house, often known as a malefic house, is a placement. Having Mars resetting itself here is a placement that can bring you a lot of joy, my friends, especially because it's in its own sign as well. And so it's strong and powerful. Now, this is a placement for winning. Now, 6th house is a house of conflict, and there's a planet of conflict. Mars is the planet of conflict being reset here. In ancient astrology, 2 negatives creates a positive. So, what does this mean? Well, Gemini, this means that you have the ability over the next 2 years to deal very successfully with 6th house problems. Mars in a house of conflict, strong in its own sign, has the energy to heal conflict, to heal diseases, to heal a divorce situation, to heal court cases. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to, you won't have any problems, because Mars here can actually increase the enemies, the court cases, the confrontation. I've got Mars natally in the 6th house, and I've had more than my fair share of that sort of thing in my life. But it gives us the energy and the power to overcome those things, to be the triumphant winner over adversity. Fabulous place to have Mars. You can overcome through your logical thinking and strategy. You can overcome through confronting difficulties. You would win in a court case that might occur in the next 2 years and win over your enemies. It's not an easy position, don't get me wrong, but it will give you the upper hand. Now, this is also the house of our employees, and with Mars here, there might be some more stresses that arise with subordinates and employees than we would usually encounter. Now, remember that there is also a looser opposition to Uranus that is occurring here, so that can cause sudden, unexpected competitive environments at work, conflict at work, challenges, even abuses at work. But even despite this, and perhaps a bit because there's this gorgeous strong trine from Neptune occurring, you will have the ability to heal and overcome these things and then use your empowerment as a source of service to other people. It's the best way to use this energy. Remember to forgive, because it's a very important process in the 6th house. A failure to forgive, holding on to your anger over certain things, will cause health issues in the 6th house, even with Mars, the winning planet, here. So forgiveness is a very important practice to utilize over the next 2 years, my Gemini friends. Now, as an individual, sometimes when Mars is in the 6th house, you can be the one who generates the conflict, but you'll always win. Okay, so it's not usually somebody coming at you, creating the conflict with you. It's you might be the one behind it all, especially because there's a conjunction with Sun. Sun is our will here in the 6th house, so you might be the one generating the conflict, but you'll always win in a conflict situation, and maybe the conflict situation is justified. It also can indicate that you might be something of a workaholic over the next 2 years, busy with work, and you just don't give in, you just don't stop. Be careful of overstress and overwork, my Gemini friends. But it does give tremendous energy to give to your work. You can achieve more, you can give more energy to your work, you can be more ambitious than at other times now. This is really great, actually, if you are a Gemini person who works in some sort of conflict-based career. Legal work, police work, town planning. Great energy for really coming out on top in those situations. It's also really good if you're in conflict management, or maybe you're working as a social change activist, or a poverty activist, or an environmental activist, or an animal activist. Any situation that requires you to be the warrior, this is a great energy to empower you. If you're a warrior for someone or something less powerful than you, then this energy gives you the chance to really succeed well, if that's the career that you're focused on. So it's really good energy for fighting for justice and equality. It's also a great energy for overcoming general life problems. And if you use Mars strategies like applying logic and strategizing, or if you engage or employ people who are good at those things, then you can do very, very well. Overcome problems, fix things in your life. Mars is to fix things, wants to get things sorted. Now, this is a house of our domestic animals as well. And it doesn't mean, injury or anything like that to your animals in your life, but they might be a little bit more aggressive, a bit snappy, a bit more frustrated than usual. Okay, so check in on your pets and make sure that they're all, behaving themselves. I visited a friend last week who had a Rottweiler, and I didn't feel comfortable in that environment. If I was a Gemini rising, sun or moon person, I would be avoiding a visit to such a friend for the duration of this reset of Mars with the sun in the 6th house. If you are inclined towards mechanical capabilities, then this is a great transit for, maybe inventing something or being progressive or having a breakthrough. Mars have a breakthrough with something mechanical in the service of mankind, something that's going to benefit humanity in some way through some mechanism that you develop. I do believe Nikola Tesla might have had Mars in the 6th house natally, and here's a perfect example of how that was outplaying in his life. The placement of Mars shows where we can be energized and mobilized to get us out of a rut. And it's 6th house things that will energize us. Fighting for injustice. You're fighting to overcome a disease. In fact, you can win against disease over the next 2 years here with this combination playing out in your chart. You'll be energized to overcome debt and, win over debt. You'll be energized, my Gemini friends, to overcome some sort of criticism or conflict. These things can really wake you up if you're feeling stuck. So they might seem like negative things, but they're probably going to get your juices flowing, and that can always be quite a beneficial thing. It's important, I would just conclude by saying, Gemini, for you to have a good physical routine in your daily life, particularly something focused on exercising and exerting the muscles, doing some weights, doing some stretches, running, biking. Really utilize the muscles in your daily routine, and that, watch what you eat too, because there can be inflammation. Mars brings inflammation. This has to do with our diet. So just gauge how you feel after you eat spicy food or hot food, and you may need to cool things down a lot or drink more water or eat more sort of wet foods or foods with a lot of water in them, like watermelon and lettuces and things like that. One last thing though, with Mars in the realm of health, watch out for inflammation, blood problems, cuts, bruises, injuries and accidents, my friend. It's not that you're more prone to them, but there can just be problems that you hadn't experienced before. Okay, thank you, Gemini. Now Taurus rising, Taurus sun and Taurus moon people. Mars is conjuncting the sun and resetting the name of the game for the next 2 years in this, your 7th house. So this is the house of other people in general, and specific people that are important in your life as well. And you might have your fair share of confrontation over the next 2 years with others. Now, I spoke in the introduction about how this played out for me when I had a conjunction of Mars and Sun in my 7th house about 4 years ago. And it led to a lot more contracts and collaborations in a business sense in my life. And I found that to be a great blessing. There was a big focus on collaborations at that time. So that may be one way it could also work out for you, which is a much better energy than seeing lots more confrontation with other people, attracting confrontation. If you do see more confrontation, it's usually going to be instigated by other people giving it to you, and you're like, what the hell's going on? I didn't even ask for this kind of treatment. Okay, so be aware. That's the lower vibration. You will, though, in those confrontational situations, can I just say, you will tend to be the one to win over others, however. But the higher octave of Mars, which may very well play out because we've got this beautiful trine to Neptune forming, the higher octave might be that you will attract more passion and enthusiasm with, marriage partners, or enthusiasm with business partners, and enthusiastic clients. That sort of thing would be a much better outworking of this energy. Now, one other way that you can handle these interactions with others that are Mars afflicted, let's say, is to transmute the possible fractious energy, an angry energy, by fighting, Mars the warrior, fighting for others, going into bat for others, standing up for others, representing someone. I'm not saying go and be a lawyer, although if you are a lawyer, then you do need to be fighting for other people, in righteousness. But, backing someone, supporting someone, taking a stand for somebody who is in a fight or in a battle, being there for them, being their support person, that kind of thing. That's one way to transmute that energy of having lots of arguments and frustrations. You might find that with Mars setting the tone here in the 7th house for the next 2 years, is maybe you're no longer afraid to confront other people about an issue now. Maybe there's been a problem, maybe there's been something that you've swept under the rug, and now you're like, that's it, I'm not going to stay silent anymore. And you confront it. This is a good use of this energy as well. Businesses, this is a house of business, the 7th house, and you might find that you're traveling more, moving more, sort of just a bit more restless now with, where you're at with your business. With this placement, you can be more entrepreneurially inspired for your business now. You can even be just signing a lot more contracts than usual, or, collaborating more with other people for business as well. Now, the fighting instinct is represented by Mars, and it needs an acceptable outlet. And I would suggest that you use that fighting, competitive energy of Mars in career over the next 2 years where you can. Don't be afraid to involve yourself in competitive situations in career now, because by doing so, you're going to direct the energy away from competitiveness and heatedness in relationships, personal relationships, committed relationships. You don't want that. So better to compete in your career environment, your business environment, and look for opportunities to compete than to end up having to do it in your everyday personal relationship. Another piece of relational advice I want to give you, if you're having this reset, Taurus, is to give your partner space. And take space for yourself as well. That could look, like you maybe having separate bedrooms or separate houses with a partner. It could look like, getting a man cave together for your man, or developing a sewing room for yourself. You might want to spend some time apart, maybe doing your own independent pursuits and hobbies, maybe traveling apart a little more as well. Just giving yourself some breathing space is kind of recommended with Mars conjunction with the Sun in the 7th house. You're also in the house of your committed other, and so this can affect your partner more so than you, and they might be becoming quite Mars-like themselves. They might be interested in enhancing their prowess or their sportsmanship. They might be wanting to build muscles and spending more time at the gym. They might become more sexual, more passionate as a result of Mars being energized here. There's also a very high value that your partner might place on physical contact. So even though you need your space, they're still going to want connection and intimacy on a physical level here. Okay? There's a tactile energy, a very energetic energy. And in the Vedic system, this is the house of our sexual activity. The 8th house is a house of your sexual attractiveness in the Vedic system. So how sexy you are is seen through the 8th house, but your sexual desires and interactions with others in the Vedic system are seen through the 7th house. Very interesting, isn't it? Now, other people are going to be your motivating force for the next 2 years because of this reset here. Other people are going to trigger you into action. And that can be through good and bad things. Maybe somebody criticizes you, and that inspires you to lose weight or to study hard or to get a promotion. Obviously not so good if you're receiving criticism, but it inspires you to change, and that can be a good outcome. Better manifestations of this energy might be where, like maybe a marriage or a business partner spurs you on to greater success. Maybe they're giving you positive upliftment or affirmation, or encouraging you in some way and energizing you in some way to succeed in a competitive situation rather than from criticism. That would be better, obviously. Remember that Mars rules youthful masculine energy. Relationships in life, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, just any relationships, my friends, will put you in situations where you might connect more with youthful masculine energy. If you've lost your zest for life, if you're feeling stuck in a rut, if you need more motivation, I would encourage you, go and find young men to spend time with. Maybe you've got some young teenage or sons in their early 20s or something like that. Go do some exercise together, play tennis, ping pong, or go for a swim together or something. Do a project with a young man, travel together. This will help you find zest again by engaging and connecting in sort of collaborations with young men represented by Mars here. Thank you, Taurus. All right, moving along. Aries. Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon, people. Well, the energy of Mars resetting things for the next 2 years by creating a conjunction with the sun in Scorpio is occurring in your 8th house. The 8th house rules passageways, Aries. For example, the journey from marriage to divorce can be considered a passageway. Anything that there's a journey from one point to another, going through a crisis and being rebirthed into a new way of being is considered to be the passageway, you know. And Mars being here in the sign, or the house rather, to do with passageways, means that your movement through such things will be sped up and manifest in a really quick manner. What does this mean? This means that big life transformations, Aries, are going to happen for you fast now. So if you're going through a divorce, it's going to be over and done with in the blink of an eye. If you are going through some other sort of life change, maybe you get like surgery or something, and the passageway between surgery and recovery, done in an instant. You're healed really fast. Mars speeds up these transformations and rebirthing experiences very, very quickly. What are we mobilized by? Mars represents what we're mobilized by, and with the reset here in the 8th house, you'll be mobilized by crisis experiences. Challenges. Remember I told you in the introduction about my recent experience of 2 years ago of this conjunction. Well, it brought me to a whole new life with a new partner, and just a much better dynamic that I am in now. It was wonderful, but it came with some crisis. Like, it wasn't an easy road over that 2 years leading to the point that I'm at now. I'm mighty glad it happened, but it was a bit of a rocky roller coaster ride, and that's what we're talking about. There can be changes that are happening now that feel like crisis, but that ultimately lead you to a rebirth and a new life. Extreme changes can sometimes make you feel a bit fearless and warrior-like as well. I would just really reiterate that, because not only is Mars in its own sign, Scorpio, the 8th house, but it also rules you, Aries. It rules your sign. So Mars is very, very prominent and important. The 8th house rules therapeutic and psychological healing. So you might find that over the next 2 years, you're interacting quite a bit with crisis healing professionals, psychologists, counselors, drug, divorce, alcohol recovery advisors, shamans, midwives, surgeons. You're just having more to do with them. Also, I would say that energy healing can really awaken you very fast here with Mars resetting in the 8th house, because the 8th house rules energy healing, rules chakras, and that Mars here is going to make that healing through those things happen quickly. Sexual experiences can also trigger this. Your sexuality can actually trigger an energy healing. You know, that old song by Marvin Gaye? That's what we're talking about here, and Mars can really activate that now. You may also find that you are prone over the next 2 years to sort of life's big reversals. You know, if life's been hard, if you've been struggling and feeling like life's a big burden, well, let me just say that can turn around 180 degrees in the next 2 years. Big reversals in life. So it's definitely a period where you're going to be reborn, my friends. I'm happy to say, Aries, that's on the cards for you. Do be careful though, because this is considered to be one of the malefic houses, and even though there's a beautiful supportive trine from Neptune to Mars conjunct Sun here, just be careful of accidents, you know, just be conscious and don't take any unnecessary risks, and be, you know, very aware in what you're doing. The purpose of Mars in the 8th house here is to awaken you to what is truth and radically transform your identity, especially for you, Aries, because Mars rules you. So your identity over the next 2 years is going to be radically changed. Sudden transformations to your identity will happen. So you can ease the intensity of this process and support this transition that wants to unfold by pursuing 8th house things and Mars-based things. So this is things like studying the occult. Come and study astrology with me at the Royal Stars Academy. Or pursue hidden secrets, you know, study crime, or study up on serial killers if it interests you, or look into astrology or esoteric practices or mysticism. Go do a deep dive into some conspiracy theories and explore everything you can. Doing that sort of thing is actually channeling the energy into a really dynamic 8th house area, and it makes that transition, that change, easier to bear. So, transforming who we are can feel painful for some, unless, I'll give you an example. In my case, I have Uranus with the moon, and Uranus is to change things quickly as well. Quite frankly, I love it. It's with my moon, bring it on. I can't get enough of, life change and growth and transformation into authenticity. But for most people who don't have configurations like that in their chart, transformations of who we are can feel quite difficult, quite painful. But I must say, the good news here is that this change is going to happen quickly, because Mars is so fast. Mars is the speedy planet, it's the speed demon. And so the change and the transformation, it's going to be like pulling the band-aid off, woof, and it's done. And once the change manifests in your life and the redirectioning happens, my friends, you will feel the relief. It will feel so good. And it'll be like, how on earth did I ever cope with where I was at before? Okay, so it's all about being reborn. This 8th house is all about actually working with other people's money as well. It's the house of your partner's resources. And in the negative sense, in the challenging sense, I have to let you know, Aries, there might be some fights and arguments and heatedness with your partner about mutual resources, or about inheritances and what you are deserving or wanting from other people. But Mars is a winner here, Aries. So, if you have to fight, you're likely to come out the winner, unless you both have Mars here, and then it could go either way, of course. The 8th house represents our hidden enemies in some schools of astrology. And Mars can be representative of an attack. So you might, some of you, not every one of you, but some of you might over the next 2 years be attacked by a hidden enemy, somebody you don't even know where it's coming from. But remember, Mars is the winning planet as well. So you stand to come out on top if that is a circumstance you encounter. We have a couple of houses of addiction. Everybody likes to lay the blame on the 12th house for addiction, but I tell you what, the 6th house I've seen as far more geared towards addiction than anything, much more than the 12th house in my experience and working as an astrologer especially. But the 8th house is also a house of addiction. It's addiction caused by compulsive, obsessive behaviors. So with Mars here, Mars is the fighter and the warrior. You can fight and overcome any compulsive, obsessive behaviors now. Remember, I spoke about this when I was talking about Mars in the 6th house, but this is a malefic house and Mars is a malefic planet. When we have a malefic and a malefic together in this manner, it equals a positive. You have the capacity to fight and overcome those sorts of obsessive compulsive behaviors. So what a wonderful reset to have and be reborn out of, those sorts of addictions now. If you don't want crisis situations manifesting in your life, focus Mars energy, your enthusiasm, your drive now, my friends, onto helping other people who've been through crisis. And do that in your spare time, and the energy of the 8th house bringing crisis into your own life will dissipate. So look to help, look to heal, look to fix the problems for other people, and support the crisis people going through crisis situations in the experiences of people around you, and it will ultimately bless you many times over through helping that energy to be overcome in your own life or avoided in your own life. Thank you very much, my Aries friends. Moving on to Pisces. Now, Pisces rising, sun or moon people, I love actually talking about Mars to Pisces people. Why? Because Mars is your most beneficial planet. Okay, you're ruled by Jupiter, the lucky planet, lucky Pisces people, but Mars rules your 9th house of blessing and your 2nd house of resources, 2 wealth houses, 2 prosperity houses. Mars is your indicator of abundance in a Pisces chart. So I love talking about Mars to Pisces people. And here there is a reset, Pisces, of Mars with the Sun, resetting things for the next 2 years in the house of blessing, in the 9th house. Very excited to share this with Pisces people. Wherever Mars is and wherever Mars has reset things for the next 2 years, like this is doing, is where we put a lot of energy. And we're going to be putting a lot of energy. You'll find the next 2 years you're going to be so busy and putting a lot of energy into traveling, into exploring, into expanding your horizons, being in other cultures, immersing yourself in other belief systems. You might find that you're absolutely insatiable about travel now. I will tell you, I have that many trips planned for next year and possibly the following year as well. I can already see this is playing out. It's exactly as the energies foretell. I don't know about you, Pisces. Leave your stories about travel plans below if you want to. Now, if you're ever feeling in the next 2 years, Pisces, like you're stuck and have no lust for life, travel's the antidote. Travel is going to enliven you, and spending time with other cultures. If you can't travel overseas or to faraway places, go and immerse yourself in other cultures. Go to some exotic restaurant or hang out with people who are from foreign places and faraway countries. Doing so will give you the sparkle back into your life. Also, doing sports is healthy with this placement. It'll help you overcome lethargy. So get active, my Pisces friends. Get off that couch, go for a swim, or just something. Pisces people tend to love water sports, so go visit the ocean and have a splash around, or go surfing or skiing or whatever it is. Get busy and healthy, and you will feel invigorated. Now, the 9th house has to do with inspirational figures, teachers, and gurus. Okay, so those types of figures in our life might start to exhibit more Mars qualities. In the negative, there might be some arguments with such people, clashes of opinions with authority figures, mentors, that kind of thing. They might be more combative. The positive way this could manifest is if those people became more sporting, more involved in activism, more competitive in business, and just more passionate about whatever they were, whatever they're doing. That's a better way that might manifest. The 9th house is the house of what makes us happy or excited and what gives our life purpose. So with Mars resetting things and putting his stamp on this field, we might find that physical activity makes us happy or excited, involving ourselves with sports or activities that are highly energized. Martial arts is represented by Mars here, so maybe I need to go and learn some martial arts. Things that are Mars-based are what is going to give us a sense of satisfaction and happiness in the next 2 years. We need a healthy outlet for our energy, actually. We need a worthy goal to focus our energy on, and that doesn't necessarily have to be sporting either, but we're going to be so energized in the house of our goals that you need to have them. If you don't have an immediate goal or immediate aspiration, get one, because Pisces, you're going to have so much energy to gear towards that. You've got to have somewhere for that energy to go. The 9th house is also a house of opportunities, and it's through being sporting, being physically active, that you can actually create more opportunities in your life. You might meet new people, you might get a scholarship, you might make new networks through being physically active. 9th house is also about teaching other people as well. It could be a good time for some of you Pisces people, Pisces Sun, Pisces Moon, Pisces Rising people, to start teaching other people about body movement, Mars, related to spirituality, 9th house, yoga, Tai Chi, that kind of thing. It also could be a good time for teaching sports, teaching strategy, teaching entrepreneurship, being a business advisor, teaching military history, being a motivational coach. All of those things are connected to Mars. I'd also throw in teaching about real estate or property development, which is also a Mars thing as well. This 9th house has to do with believing in something. And let's be honest, Mars is quite a pushy little planet. It can be, just gets in there gung-ho, doesn't stop to think. So there can be a propensity for bluntness now about your beliefs. So just be conscious of that. Live in awareness that you could be coming across in a dogmatic manner with people, or be coming across as aggressive about your beliefs now. Be aware. Knowledge is power, and you can sort of perhaps pull back on that energy if you need to. Some of you people might find yourself caught in some battle over a belief system. Mars is to battle. Mars is to be a soldier and a warrior. You might be fighting a religious battle or a spiritual battle of some sort, or a battle about your beliefs with other people at this time. Be aware that that can manifest too. It's quite interesting, Pisces, but Mars is a sexual energy. And here in the house of foreigners, you might have some sexual experiences with a foreigner, or you might travel overseas and have a sexual encounter. The lowest manifestation of this, and I know none of my viewers will be involved in such debased things, but sex tourism and exploitation can sometimes be indicated by this combination. Luckily, we've got the beautiful, compassionate and uplifting trine from Neptune. I don't think that's going to be on the cards for anybody watching this video. But yes, if you're traveling overseas, you might have, really the best sex of your life. Not necessarily with a stranger, but in a foreign place with your partner, perhaps. Makes me want to go and book a ticket straight away. Mars rules production, manufacturing, and machines. So there's often be maybe a connection for many Pisces people in the next 2 years to connecting with a foreign manufacturing company. Maybe I'm going to find a decent manufacturing company to help me manufacture my Astro wheels or something like that. That sort of situation could unfold for some Pisces people, where you're dealing with a foreign production company or foreign machinery of some sort. Mars also wants innovation. And in the ninth house of belief systems, you'll often be breaking away from some old belief system, or innovating an old belief system, challenging outdated belief systems. So a lot of you Pisces people are going to get a new spiritual outlook because of Mars resetting the tone of your life in the 9th house. I, for one, am quite excited by that. In fact, that can be very energizing and motivating for you to explore a new belief system and break away from old paradigms too. So that's what I'm feeling for my Pisces friends. What a lovely energy to be unfolding. All right, Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, and Aquarius moon people. Well, the energy of Mars making a reset with the sun is occurring in the 10th house, the angular 10th house. And this is quite a prominent placement. Mars has great directional strength in the Vedic system in the 10th house. So it's a really good placement for Mars in its own sign to be making this conjunction. You enjoy this, Aquarius. You're in for a really stellar 2 years. The 10th house is the house of worldly actions, the career we develop, the legacy we leave when we're gone, our executive power, our successes. You've got so much energy and enthusiasm to put towards those things now with this reset of Mars. In fact, I feel for many Aquarius people that you won't be satisfied with an ordinary job now. You're going to want more. You're going to be hungry for and desire better positions in the world out there. You'll want to create a magnificent vacation over the next 2 years. No more sitting on the couch. You're going to want to get to and make it happen. In fact, many of you Aquarius people might find that you are very competitive with career over the next 2 years. Some of you might achieve very high positions and climb to the top of the tree in the next 2 years, especially because this is in its own sign. Traditional ruler of Scorpio. Any careers requiring fierce competition or ladder climbing, you'll do well in. So if you're in a hierarchical organization where you can climb the ladder of success, this is your time. You're coming into your own now, Aquarius. Enjoy it. Mars in the 10th house of public reputation and public visibility can actually create kind of sex symbols. Now, this is the realm of what the public sees the most. And with a planet like Mars here, people are going to see your sexuality. Whether you intend it or not, it's the energy that you exude. So that's one thing, you may never have been recognized for your sexuality before, and with this reset occurring here, all of a sudden, people think you're Elvis, or people think you're Marilyn or something. You're sexy. What else can I say? It's not just that sexuality, but Mars is the innovator and the rebel, and people might see that about you and realize, oh my goodness, they're a real go-getter, aren't they? Or there might be a great deal of appeal to the young generations, to youthful energy in some manner. You stand up and you be seen in the world, Mars in the 10th house, and it appeals to Mars energy, youthful young generations. Or you might have an image of being very youthful. Even if you're an oldie like me, you might have an image of being very young-minded or youthful energy. In the shadow side, you can develop a reputation, 10th house's reputation, for antagonizing people or being aggressive or being blunt in some way. Very Mars, difficult energy. Now 10th house also has to do with authority figures. And so the way you interact with authority figures can be seen by this as well. Authority figures might be very provoking, competitive, pushy, militant in your life now, driven or even antagonistic now. Shadow side of Mars. The positive manifestation could see that, authority figures are more active and energetic now. They're driven in the best ways. They're more entrepreneurial. Maybe they're more sporting, and you find like bosses are seen through the 10th house. Your boss is always out on the golf course, is what it might look like, which is much better than him being an antagonist. That's for sure. Mars is an aggressive kind of planet, even here in his own sign. So there can be clashes with bosses and authority figures, but it can serve for the best because Mars is in its own sign, trined well by Neptune in a conjunction with Agena, the fixed star Agena. So what can be happening is this aggression or clash with a boss or authority figure can push you to climb higher on the ladder so you don't have to deal with that person anymore. You're going to want to be the one in charge now. And you're going to be like, I'm going to go for a promotion, or I'm going to move to another department and get a better salary to leave that shitty situation behind and that shitty person behind. I know what that feels like. I've been in those situations myself, where you just want to change the dynamic of your circumstances career-wise so you don't have to deal with that crap any longer. So now's the time, Aquarius, that might manifest for you. The 10th house is people who rule over us, government, prime ministers. Naturally, with Mars here, there can be conflict with those type of hierarchies. You might be inclined to maybe want to change countries to get away from that situation. Some of you might be inspired in that manner. I can think of a couple of Aquarius people who are living with their foot in 2 different countries, maybe to avoid that kind of a circumstance. So yes, there can be conflict. Best case scenario would be that your government is energized to make changes, or the prime minister of your country becomes something of a warrior for justice and sticking up for worthy causes, that sort of thing. Let's hope that's how it manifests, but don't hold your breath. Now, if you're ever not feeling motivated over the next 2 years, my Aquarius friends, get into a situation where you can compete at work or in your career. If you're not feeling motivated to compete to get to the top of the career that you're currently in, then you're probably not in the right field for you. You might be inspired by this energy to change jobs, to be in a career that feels more passionate to you, that you're more desirous to pursue higher levels in. As I said, Mars in the 10th house has great directional strength. So if you're feeling inspired to change jobs, I'm not saying go out and quit your day job before getting a new one, but certainly start looking. Find a job that motivates you and energizes you, and you'll do so much better. Mars in its own sign with great directional strength has your back, my Aquarius friends, at this time for the next 2 years, I'm happy to say. All right, Mars in the 11th house is going to be where Capricorn rising sun or moon people are feeling this reset energy. Remember, Mars conjunct the sun is resetting the general tone of life for the next 2 years. Last 2 years we've had, you Capricorn people have been focused on 10th house things. Now it's moving into your 11th house. This is Mars in the 11th house makes you a captain of gain, because Mars is the captain energy and gainfulness is seen through the 11th house. This is a strong position that says, especially when Mars is in its own sign, that you could achieve some significant financial rewards from your work, from your public endeavors over the next 2 years. Mars is very visible when it's in the 10th house, and so it can lead to high positions in society, leadership positions. This is a combination for making money and being seen. Mars is a planet that rules thirst and hunger, and here in the 11th house, you might be hungry for societal gain, societal sense of belonging in big groups and recognition by the masses, and economic gains as well. And because we're desirous of it and hungry for it, often Mars is a planet of winning, you can actually see it manifest. So that's some good news for our Capricorn friends, for sure, if that's something you've been wanting. There is a tendency also when Mars is here and being reset in such a significant way for you to become very active in group activities, even if you're not usually. Even if you're a more private person and don't really care for group activities. This reset of Mars can lead you to want to sort of be part of some social group, some sporting club, some, organization of some description. The 11th house rules society, and Mars is about change through energy and drive. So you might surprise yourself in the next 2 years by being energetic and driven about being part of some sort of social activist group or joining a croquet club or something, You just want to get in there and be part of it, even if you never have before. The ability to lead big groups of people can manifest now. You might be offered positions of leadership. If not, you might simply be a very dynamic force in social situations as well. Most of the time, Mars causes us to take action. And here in the 11th house, you might actively seek to elevate your social status, by being recognized by groups. Just be careful of being over competitive, Mars energy, with your friends. Friends are seen through the 11th house, okay? Being over competitive with friends can really alienate people. So just go easy on that one. But you're probably going to increase your social connections over the next 2 years, and you might even find that you are energized and enthused, and if you need to get out of a rut, go and hang out with people in a very active environment. Get a lot of people in an active environment. Go play paintball or do some sort of team sports. Maybe get involved in car racing or kayaking or surfing or trail riding with others. The social energy is the 11th house. It's fine if you want to go surfing by yourself, but really the energization that to get you out of a feeling stuck will come when you go and do it with a group of 5 people, that kind of thing. Another thing, because we're talking about friendships and connecting with others here, be careful of being ruthless. Mars can be a little bit ruthless, especially in the sign of Scorpio. Be careful of being ruthless with your friends, because obviously that's going to create tension and upsets. It's really best to focus your enthusiasm and your vibrance and energy into activities with friends. Like I said, lest this energy manifests through provoking or general competitiveness or taking risks that are unhealthy with friends. So do something energetic with friends and you will sort of keep the friendship solid, I feel. There may also be a need for you to do an evaluation of who your friends are, because you might find that maybe friends are exhibiting towards you a competitive nature, or they're provoking you, or they're aggressive and argumentative. And so you might have to sort of do an evaluation of, well, is this friendship worth hanging on to? Am I going to put up with their provoking for the next 2 years, or am I going to call it a day? So some of you might be needing to evaluate whether you maintain certain friendships or not. It's better to have friends who are entrepreneurial, the positive sides of Mars, entrepreneurial friends, heroic friends, people who fight for others, the kind of warrior-natured friends, quintoxic friends, courageous friends, people who are, warriors for honor, warriors for truth. If you've got friends around you who are like that, who match that description, then it's thumbs up all the way. You might find that because this is occurring in a very sociable house, you might develop more of a liking for organizing parties, organizing holidays and social activities with others under this influence at some point over the next 2 years. How wonderful. There's a really brilliant increase in your networking ability. And if you're somebody who is interested in being popular, like on social media or on the internet and YouTube and those sorts of platforms, you're really quite capable in the next 2 years of creating a big following, Capricorn. So if you've been wondering, should I put a website out? Yes, you should. Now's the time with this energy over the next 2 years. Should I establish a Patreon page? Should I do that fundraising enterprise on GoFundMe or something? The answer is yes. This is the time. You can be quite a forceful presence now amongst the masses. So go get them. There could also be some opportunities in the next 2 years, my Capricorn friends, to, like I said, get involved in event organization and PR events. It's a good time also to involve yourself in businesses that have no centralized power structure, sort of non-hierarchical businesses. Like I said, get on the internet now if you're not already. Maybe look into the stock market, Airbnb, sort of what we describe as these non-hierarchical organizations. So if you've ever dabbled with the idea of being involved in those sorts of things, this is really a great time over the next 2 years to take some action towards that end. Really, it's an indicator, and I'm so pleased to tell you guys this, for great potential to create above average gains in the next 2 years. Mars is the drive, Mars is the enthusiasm, Mars can really manifest that positivity for you. The 11th house is also a house of people who have influence over others, like social media influencers, but also people who fight for social causes and activism here. So Mars here can indicate that you might be inspired to fight for an important social cause, or you might be the energetic or enthusiastic bringer of new trends to large groups of people. You might be the cause of, some sort of influence on a large group as well. So if you've ever wanted to do that, it's the next 2 years could be the time. You could also, Mars is to create breakthroughs and innovations, and you might create some sort of innovation or a breakthrough that somehow affects a large group of people, that blesses a large group of people, or hopefully brings good things because of the conjunction with the fixed star Agena and the trine to Neptune to many, many people. This is the house of gainfulness, and of course Mars rules things like real estate, mechanics, engineering, use of tools, use of implements. Mars rules the war and military. Mars rules entrepreneurship and innovations and breakthroughs and starting something new that nobody has seen before. And it's any of those areas and their offshoots that can be particularly gainful for you now. So if you've ever dabbled with an idea for a mechanical invention or some sort of engineering, or you want to get involved, like I said, in Airbnb by purchasing and renovating real estate, then this is the time, Capricorn, when that can really work for you over the next 2 years. We're not talking in an instant all of a sudden. This is something that can build. This is an Upachaya house. It unfolds with time. Over the next 2 years, these sorts of things might unfold to be very, very beneficial for you. But you will be very driven to accomplish your dreams, to accomplish your goals right now. Mars gives the inspiration, doesn't give the inspiration, it gives the enthusiasm to chase those dreams and to make it happen and to not give up and to be tenacious about achieving those goals and dreams. If you're feeling like you're in a rut at any stage in the next 2 years, part of the strategy would be get social, get networking, or start putting energy, enthusiasm towards your goal and dream and seeing it manifest. Thank you, Capricorn, and my beautiful Sagittarius rising, sun and moon people. You've been hanging around to last, and I want to thank you for still being here. We are going to explore Mars making a conjunction, a complete reset for the next 2 years in your 12th house. It's quite an interesting placement, the 12th house. And of course, Mars is your 12th house lord. But the 12th house has to do with gossip, hidden enemies, people that you don't know are even, out there, against you, trying to undermine you, and people acting behind the scenes. That's 12th house. So with Mars doing a reset of energy in your 12th house, there might be some gossip. There might be people acting behind the scenes that you don't know about unfolding, but you're feeling the effects of from time to time over the next 2 years. People might be using subversive tactics from time to time. Now, I'm saying this, you're probably not going to be aware that it's even happening. But if there's ever any doubt, if you're ever sort of scratching your head thinking, I think, someone's out to get me, well, that is Mars in the 12th house causing that effect. So that's a shadow energy. And remember, there's shadow and light in everything. I'm sorry to start with a negative. Don't worry, there's some positives coming as well. I just want to point out Mars is the planet of winning. So the bottom line is, if that negative energy is manifesting, you can be the winner. You can be the warrior who overcomes those difficulties as well. Maybe you win a battle by doing some deep research on a topic, because the 12th house has to do with diving deep into something, doing deep research. Maybe you win a battle by strategizing. Mars is strategy. And more often than not, you will win by doing something behind the scenes than upfront confrontational fighting. Like, none of this, I'm going to take you to court and da-da-da-da. It's more settling things out of court, that kind of thing. The things that happen behind the scenes that aren't public, that aren't, you're not hanging your dirty laundry out for the whole world to see. So what we're looking at here is winning through endeavors that you undertake behind the scenes. Now, that could be winning a spiritual war. 12th house has to do with spiritual battles. So it could be a war on a spiritual plane that your soul is fighting and you come out victorious. It could be a physical war. It could be a political war. It could be a marketing war. Any kind of war that you are fighting, that you are battling with, you could win and come out the victor for behind the scenes. So are you in a battle with somebody at the moment? Just know that it might all dissolve and unravel in a very easy way without it having to go public. Now, on the material level, this energy is the 12th house is the house of sleep and rest. And Mars being an influence, setting up an influence here for the next 2 years, can indicate that you might have restless sleep. So insomnia can sometimes manifest. So have some strategies. What are you going to do if you can't sleep? I went through this for quite a while over the last 12 years, actually, and I found that, funnily enough, listening to myself do my YouTube talks at night put me to sleep almost straight away. I'm not saying that everyone should fall asleep listening to me talk, but it worked for me fine. But have a strategy. So whenever I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't get back to sleep, put on one of my videos and I went out like a light. The thing with the 12th house is it's about our sleep and our rest and our dreams. And Mars being the active energy here, if you're not suffering from insomnia, you might be having really big dreams, dreaming of things that annoyed you throughout the day. Mars is annoyances and frustrations. So at night, it's like the body, the mind is letting go of those annoyances, but they're prominent in your dream life. In your dreams, your subconscious battles, Mars is to battle, come out. Okay? You can even have a lot of sexual dreams. Mars is a sexual planet, so that could be one of the more positive manifestations of this. You know what it's like? You having that great dream, you don't want to wake up in the morning. That can happen. So speaking of sexuality, this is a placement, and now we're getting into some of the positive stuff, for having a highly active sex life. So the next 2 years could be fantastic for you, because the 12th house is about bed pleasures and Mars is a sexual energy. So lots of pleasure with sexuality in the bedroom available to our Sagittarius friends. Hello. Looking good, Sagittarius. Now, just on what we were talking about before, that restlessness that can lead to insomnia, sitting in meditation and doing sort of still spiritual practices can be very difficult to achieve for the next 2 years. I don't want you to beat yourself up if you can't sit there and meditate. It's part of this Mars energy. So I would just say, forget sitting there and chanting Om. Go for a meditative walk. It's a much better option. Do spiritual Tai Chi or some sort of yoga or something with spiritual practice. Anything that's better than just sitting still. Don't feel bad because you can't meditate for the next 2 or so years with Mars putting this energy of activation and restlessness into your 12th house, okay? Now, this is a house of our subconscious, and with Mars here, there can be subconscious fears and worries about wars and about violence, about Mars things. That's what our fears and worries can consist of. So that can lead to, worrying about war. And just look at the world around us. We've got plenty to worry about when it comes to wars and violence, haven't we? But it can lead to sort of psychic and imaginative exhaustion, mental exhaustion. In fact, in your dream life, you might be very active on the astral level, fighting battles on the astral plane, and you can wake up exhausted. So sleep and rest is going to be a big topic, I think, for the next 2 years for you. It's a good thing if you can sort of, like I've already alluded to, have some strategies and take plenty of holidays. In fact, I would encourage you, like active holidays, one of the best things you can do. Active travel to faraway places. Maybe, I don't know, Sagittarius, you might enjoy surfing or snow skiing or something like that. Go and have those sorts of holidays where you can do those sorts of active things, and it will lead to you feeling more restful. It's a better use of this energy than sort of getting frustrated by not being able to sleep at night. So take some trips overseas. In fact, I think just like for Pisces people, I think Sagittarius people are going to have a lot of travels to faraway places over the next 2 years. And that's a much better utilization of this energy than it would be sort of sitting at home and getting frustrated because you can't meditate. So plan for some holidays away. In fact, a good use and other good uses of this energy, because the 12th house rules escapist places like prisons and libraries, hospitals, ashrams, monasteries, retreats, holiday communities and stuff. A good use of this energy is to take a break, go on holidays, go to retreats and that kind of thing, but particularly energetic holidays. But other things like engaging a private fitness instructor might be a good thing to do, or becoming a private fitness instructor can be also a good thing to do, because you're dealing in private with Mars things. 12th house is private, Mars is fitness, martial arts, yoga and Tai Chi and using the body. Dancing even can come into this, especially energetic tribal dancing. So engage, a private fitness instructor or become a private fitness instructor. I actually go, when I can, to a spiritual dance class, very 12th house energy. That would be such a great way to utilize this Mars energy. Go to a spiritual dance class. Research Mars-based themes at a library, do some research on war or real estate, surgery, entrepreneurship, those Mars-ruled topics. Do compassionate work. 12th house is a compassionate house. Compassionate work in some way for people who are involved in war or people who are in hospital or who are in prison. If you do compassionate work, that's putting your action and energy into compassionate activity for people in 12th house places. So all of those things are great ways to use this energy for good and to get the most out of this energy so that you don't end up suffering the insomnia and so on. Mars rules breakthroughs in life and breaking away from things as well. So if you're feeling stuck in a rut, if you're feeling like life isn't changing the way you want it to, you can manifest a breakthrough for yourself or a break away from an old pattern by going overseas, going on a holiday, going to an escapist place. And that includes things like day spas, getting a massage, going and having your nails done at the salon, which might be something you just don't do on a regular basis, or doing some sort of deep deep dive into some sort of research, particularly with Scorpio here, some sort of hidden knowledge, doing a deep dive in that can cause you to have a breakthrough in life and get you out of a rut. You need, for the next 2 years, my Sagittarius friends, healthy, creative, and spiritual ways of working with the Mars energy, especially, any frustration and anger. And if you do so, it's going to help you avoid health issues that Mars can bring about. Mars bringing about health issues in the 12th house can cause sort of problems that you can't put a finger on. There's something wrong with your blood pressure. Mars rules blood pressure, but you can't find the answer to why you're experiencing high blood pressure, for example. So 12th house is hidden things, and Mars is things like blood, inflammation, heat, cuts and bruises, that kind of thing. You don't know where these cuts and bruises are coming from, or this inflammation and that kind of stuff. So to redirect the energy into a different avenue, like I said, get involved in some sort of healthy, creative or spiritual expressions. Take time out, plenty of rest and relaxation that's energized but fun, and you can avoid those health issues manifesting over the next 2 years. So that's our roundup of the horoscope for Mars conjunct the Sun. What a fascinating energy. Do check out that Tychos model that I mentioned, because it will give you a greater understanding of how significant Mars is in our lives. It's an often untalked about planet. More than any other planet, we tend to avoid Mars energy. I think it's time that we started giving it its due and recognizing what an influence it is in our lives. Thanks for joining me. I'll have another Astro Weather Report for you next week.